Yo, what's going on, MATHMECH players? I have, by the stroke of luck, made Master 1 again. I have to say, each season is definitely getting harder than the last, and I definitely did have to make some huge adjustments just to climb from one tier to the other, and it was such a slow process. Constantly going from Master 4 to Master 3, and then Master 2 to Master 3, so on and so on. I even had such bad loss streaks on certain days that the worst one was I went from Master 2 with 2 games until promotion, all the way back down to the bottom of Master 4. And when I say bottom, I mean I was one loss away from going back down to Master 5. So yeah, that would have been a tragic day. But either way, it was pretty bad. So I definitely took a day off just to kind of set my mind straight. And following that, I will have to say this is definitely going to be my last serious grind to Master 1. I've already proven to myself that I can do it with MATHMECH. It's definitely my favorite deck. But yeah, the process was so painful. Getting hit by Maxi, Droll, and then the Nibiru all in the same turn happened way too often. So going forward, I'm definitely going to be playing different decks, and I'm going to be playing with a bit more of a fun aspect. And I'll still play ranked, and I do want to take challenges and seeing if I can take certain rogue decks to Master 1. And I will still play MATHMECH here and there just to see how it fends off in the new format, because Unchained, then Rescue Ace are still to come out with their support. But for myself, it's just not interesting playing the same deck over and over again, just for the same result each season, like to get to Master 1. Like it was fun. I've proven myself. I've done it 6 times in a row now, and I've definitely had my fun with it. Was very pleased this morning when I made it, and I've proven myself that I can do it. But I just want to have a bit more fun, and I'm going to try different art types. So if you have any suggestions for rogue type decks, I'm just going to repeat that: rogue type decks. As much as I like to play a bit of Kashtira here and there, I don't really want to play. Well, I guess they are rogue actually, but I don't want to play Dragon Link, don't want to play Branded Despia. I'm really not interested in those type of decks. Those are like free win decks because of the new support. Like they're too easy to play, if I'm being honest. There's a lot of complicated plays and different varieties that may be fun, but it's just too easy to play them. So yeah, I don't want to play that. But if you have any suggestions, please just let me know, and I'll look into building those decks. But why don't we jump onto the deck list, and you can see what deck got me to Master 1 this season. Right, so guys, this is the deck list that got me over the finish line this season. Now, starting with the hand traps, I played 1 Ghost Spell, 1 Veiler, and 1 DD Crow, as these cards were widely seen in my Super Heavy Samurai matchups. And it was good to have something for cross-out to negate if you were lucky enough to open it with your starting hand. 3 Droll, 3 Maxi, and 3 Ash Blossom. These are the new essential hand traps for this season since, again, Super Heavy Samurai is just so popular. And then, of course, 2 Imperms, 2 Call by the Graves, and then 1 Nibiru. Now, my main engine was 1 of each MATHMECH body except for Nabla, 3 Defensor, and 1 Guardian, because the idea of my most optimal end board actually revolved around using Firewall Defensor as my normal summon to extend into Singularity and Terahertz. Genuinely, it did not matter if Alan Busham was negated or denied me access into getting me Diameter, and to be honest, I almost welcomed my opponent to use up their interruptions, as I would secure Diameter regardless through Terahertz. I would just send them to the graveyard as discard fodder. But we can cover that in the combo portion of this video. Now, the only real tech card that I used this season was Deck Lockdown. The rest of the deck list, as you can see, is just search cards such as Small World and Silent Mining for hand traps and extenders, just to get into the rest of my plays. Now, with Deck Lockdown, I have talked about this card in the past, but I have to say this season in particular, this has been an instant game winner for me if I open with this card going first. Because against Labyrinth, Vanquish Soul, and again, especially Super Heavy Samurai, this card alone soloed all of these decks. My opponent would insta-scoop, as there are no plays that they have to go around this card unless they drew the one of with Harpy's Feather Duster. And even then, if I have full combo with D-Save them in the graveyard, I'm absolutely fine. I'll just negate it, and then they scoop from there. Now, for my extra deck, nothing crazy this season, but I am thinking about opting out either Heat Soul or G-Golem. Both are great cards, but a second Splash Mage or Transcode Talker can go such a long way. Now, I know G-Golem is there to revive Transcode, but in a lot of my games, he actually ended up banished, which we can't really do anything about after that. We can't really get them out. We have a Signet card, Signet Rollback, but that would ruin the consistency of this deck. I think we can all agree there. But yeah, having a second Transcode or maybe having a second Splash Mage, I think can go a long way. Now, lastly, I have to admit, guys, I am such a huge fan of Singularity now. This card 100% has won me so many games. Like, if I was not able to secure the MATHMECH Super Factorial combo due to Droll, Ash, or whatever interruption, having Singularity on the field with Terahertz together, sometimes this was enough to do with all of my opponent's plays. You'll see that in some of the replays, and I was thoroughly impressed. Usually I am a fanboy for Silent Conflict, and I hold my hands to that. But this season, getting both combo lines confirmed was just way too difficult to secure through constant draws. And in a lot of my matchups with Branded in particular, it just wasn't enough to have Signet Conflict and Super Factorial, just because they would bait out those interactions, and then a lot of their plays can be secured in the end phase so that they can play on your turn. However, with Singularity, if I was able to negate Albion after Brand of Fusion as resolved, so that's the red dragon, I think it's a dark attribute as well, I would use Terahertz and Aggregator in response to Brand of Fusion, negate Albion, and then I would use Singularity to spin Albion back to the extra deck, and that would essentially stop the Lubellion plays. And if you know Branded, that is huge. There's a lot of synergy between those two particular cards, because Albion wants to be in the graveyard and Lubellion wants to be on the field with a free tribute summon from the graveyard, so that it can get Branded Beast or Regained or whatever, and then Albion will set up their end phase play. So stopping that play definitely gave me a huge advantage against this deck. But of course, if they had cards like Super Poly, that was an instant game win for my opponent, because Singularity and Terahertz both being dark attribute monsters, yeah, they're just too easy of a target to go into Garura. But again, it is such a strong card, Super Poly, but it was so rare that I didn't really complain about it too much. Like, if it was almost like a one-of card. Like, I would treat it as like Harpy's Feather Duster, but it is what it is. Now, with other matchups like Labyrinth or Vanquish Soul, going first, we were winning. Like, I was so confident we were winning, because Singularity is just ridiculous. In the end phase, you can just spin back all their cards, and then of course you've got Super Factorial to remove some of the cards. Like, yeah, I felt very, very comfortable going first against these decks if I got full combo. But of course, I was so nervous about Nibiru, Droll, and Maxi, because those are very popular cards this season. But going first, if I have full combo, very, very confident. And then going second is the same OTK strat, which is extend until you can deal 8,000 plus damage. Now that we've gone through the deck list, let me show you the ideal combo we were aiming for going first and then going second as well. And then I'll leave you with 12 replays of my rank climb this season. Right, so guys, to demonstrate this going first combo, I'm going to use Circular and Defensor. This is actually the second time I've had to do this, because, well, I didn't know the bot can actually use Maxi, so I needed to have Ash Blossom in my hand and maybe cross out for Imperm, because they also have that as well. So let's start with Circular. Doing the classic one-card combo, we're going to send Sigma for cost, which is always very fair, and then we're going to special summon Sigma from the graveyard so that it can trigger Circular, so we can add Super Factorial. So that's the Super Factorial line secured. Getting Diameter will not be any trouble from here. So we're going to go into Alan Bershin. And look, guys, Alan Bershin is just such a magnet for Ash Blossom, as well as, what else is there? Fet Veiler and Imperm. Like, it's just such a magnet for all of it. So, and I don't mind if it happens. Particularly, I don't want him to be negated, because his effect is going to come in useful in a moment. But now that we've got Diameter, we just leave that in our hand. Now, we don't actually need to normal summon Diameter. I want to normal summon Defensor and go off into Lingaribo. So that way it triggers its effect to special summon Guardian from the main deck, which will just be a moment. Wish it was a little bit faster. There we go, Guardian. We'll put him there. Now we're going to use Lingaribo and Guardian to go into Splash Mage. So we'll just use the two now. Now Guardian will revive itself by its own effect, but we're going to need to use Splash Mage's effect to bring back Guardian. So we'll bring back, not Guardian, so Defensor. So we'll bring back Guardian here. And then we'll need to use Splash Mage's effect to bring back Defensor. Now, you really want to put Defensor in this zone. That's going to be particularly important in a moment. So using Guardian, we're going to go into Link Decoder. And then this is just classic Link climbing for Cyburst players. Now we're going to go into Transcode Talker using Splash Mage and Link Decoder. That way, Link Decoder will special summon itself again by its own effect. Now, it's important that you do not put it in the zone that Transcode is pointing to, because we want to use Transcode's effect. And then we're going to use Transcode's effect to revive Splash Mage. Here we go. Now, using these three, so, oh, you can't see my cursor. So, Transcode, Splash Mage, and Link Decoder, we're going to go into Singularity straight away. And we're going to special summon him in the extra monster zone above Defensor. Now, this is where it's quite important that you do this, because the idea is that we now use Alan Bershin to tribute Defensor, and then bring Diameter onto the field, so that way we have all our Mathmech bodies for Super Factorial to be effective, and this triggers Singularity's effect because a monster that it was pointing to has left its zone, and now we can now re-summon Transcode Talker, and then we can use the three of them. So when I say three, Alan Bershin, Transcode Talker, and Diameter to go into Terahertz, and that is just full combo, guys. Like, obviously, I may have had to have used, Ash Blossom for Maxi and cross out for anything else, but if I didn't, these are just great for the next round. So why don't we send Save Worm to the graveyard. Another card that you could add to this deck list is Danmari. Because we have a level 6 Link monster, Danmari is insane for this deck. But it is also a huge brick, so do tread with caution with that card, guys. So now that we have Super Factorial, this is full combo. We're going to set this. So we've got a bit of hand traps here. We've got a double card bounce whilst Desabum is in the graveyard, and then we've got a potential negate from Aggregator through Terahertz, and of course Super Factorial. So this is full combo going first. You can achieve this combo through a very wide variety of different cards. You just need enough extenders to actually go into this combo, but the way to do it is pretty much how I showed you. You'll see in some of the replays I made such a mistake by using G Golem so early, because to be honest, I'm very new to this style of play with Singularity, but I'm so glad I've learned it now because it has just won me so many games. So that's pretty much the going first strat. Why don't we go into the going second strat? Okay, so guys, for our going second strat, it's really, really simple. The idea, so I went first and then skipped my turn just so my opponent could, or the bot could summon something in attack position. Don't even care what the effect is. Literally, our only strategy here is to extend until we have Terahertz and we are secure to go in for battle phase, because once that happens, we pretty much won game. So yeah, for the sake of this, I'll use Circular first, go into this. But given the extenders I have in my hand, I'm not even... What is that? Imperm. Okay, whatever. Right, so he's going to negate this. That's cool. Yeah, we really don't care at this point. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Splash Mage using these two. And this is just, again, one example of probably a million ways we could do this. So we're going to use Parallel Exceed. Use Parallel Exceed's effect to resummon. Yep, whatever. I could have ashed that there just to stop this from popping up. And then I guess I'll just use it. We could even use Splash Mage's effect. Again, the possibilities are endless here. Now, of course, if they have cards in hand, you want to be smart and try and protect your cards as much as possible. But in this particular scenario, I'm just trying to show you what the OTK actually looks like. So now we've got Terahertz here. I'm not going to bother resummon it. Now, remember, you do not want to actually trigger Terahertz until you're in the battle phase. If you do it before the battle phase, you open yourself up to Ash Blossom as well as Ghost Ogre. Those are huge things you want to avoid. Now, Ghost Ogre isn't so much of a threat if you have Defensor in the graveyard, but if you don't, you lose Terahertz and that's your OTK gone. But now that we're in the battle phase, we're going to trigger the effect. We're going to send Multiplication. Where's that gone? Right here. And then Multiplication will double the attack of Terahertz, making him a 11,000 body. Now, that means we can attack anything that is 3,000 attack and below, and we will have enough damage for game. So that's pretty much the OTK, guys. I don't need to do several examples. I think one other example, which I won't really need to show you, is obviously Access Code has Update Jammer. But one thing I like to do, and you'll see that in one of the replays, is I like to make Access Code using Multiplication as one of the materials, because you can activate Multiplication as Chainlink 1, activate Access Code as Chainlink 2, and it will protect the effect of Multiplication. Nothing can be activated in response to Access Code. So that way he becomes a 10,600 body, or I think 8,800 depending on what link material you use to make him. And then you literally just attack anything with the lowest attack on the board. Make sure it's in attack position, of course, and then that's game from there. But that's really up to you. That really comes in desperate situations. Update Jammer, to me, is a bit too risky nowadays with Nibiru, but look, that's up to you. Either way, that's pretty much it, guys. Why don't we move on to the replays, and then, yeah, you get to see how my season's gone. Right, so guys, before I show you all the replays, and I promise you there's no commentary over any of the replays, it's all just back-to-back action, I just wanted to put a disclaimer out there. As you will see, some of the gameplay involves Silent Conflict. Obviously, these games were before I made the big transition into Singularity, and of course, because there's no commentary or conclusion, if you have any questions about any of the gameplay or why I did certain things, or if I made a mistake, please just point it out, just shoot them in the comments and I'll be there to read it. I'll see you later, guys.